have to pay gang members right now to keep the streets safe, to go film anything on the streets of LA. These two politicians have failed Hollywood times 1,000.
In her time in there, she feels very strongly about it, but never offered one motion. And when motions came up on the industry, she either recused herself.
So, Mayor, this is for you. I know that you have apologized for being out of the country during those wildfires. But still, there are plenty of people who believe that the city let them down. The Los Angeles Fire Department, for some reason, didn't have a strike team or a brush unit where there had been a fire just days earlier and had been reports it was still smoldering. That appears to be inexcusable. LADWP had a reservoir that was dry. The fire hydrants went dry. So based on that issue alone, articulate for us why you should get a second contract as the mayor of the city.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you. You know, when I took over as mayor, LA was definitely facing an awful lot of tough problems. And obviously, January 7th was horrible. And as I have told you before, it was one of the worst moments of my life to not be here when my city needed me. And it didn't matter where I was or why I was away. To me, it reminds me of like if you're away and a family member is in an accident. But I think that I deserve a second term, and I'm going to fight for that because we have made significant progress in a variety of areas. For example, homelessness was going up year after year. And under my watch, it is the first time we've had a decrease in street homelessness. While it went up in the country, 18%, it came down in Los Angeles, 17.5%. I have expedited the building of housing because our number one issue in this city is affordability. And one of the main drivers for affordability is housing.
Right. So let me follow up on the fires, though. One gets the impression, based on what we saw, that you prioritized wages and benefits, a hike in the salaries of the firefighters union over the operations budget. We saw those pictures of those engines that were inoperable because they didn't have enough mechanics to fix them. Well, was that a mistake? Explain that decision.
Let me just say, first of all, the primary problem there was that the chief sent home 1,000 firefighters. We actually had fire trucks with not enough firefighters there. So yes, there were fire trucks that were broken, but there were also fire trucks that were out of use because she had sent the firefighters home. You are correct. There was supposed to have been deployment and pre-deployment in the area. That did not happen. But the same way that LA was not prepared, neither was the county.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor Bass, Mr. Pratt, this question's for you. Your desire to run for office for mayor of Los Angeles, really born of your own experience. You lost your home in the fire. You lost your neighborhood. How does that really color your view of what needs to happen at this point? And how does that help others moving forward?
Yes, thank you for the question. To the Mayor Karen Bass's, the 1,000 firefighters that were available, but there was no engines for them because of the $17 million that Chief Crowley had asked the mayor for 9 weeks before, and Mayor Karen Bass denied it. So they may have been available, but they didn't have the equipment they needed. Not to mention Janice Quinones, who Mayor Karen Bass put into her position of power at the LADWP. She drained both of these reservoirs that these firefighters needed to put out these fires. A lot of people will talk about climate change and hurricane force winds. The winds in the Pacific Palisades never reached higher than 40 miles per hour. For those first 6 hours, they didn't go above 27 miles per hour. So without those two reservoirs filled with 117 million gallons and 5 million gallons, these firefighters had to fly all the way to Malibu and Encino to get water. So that, to me, is the most dangerous thing that the mayor put us up against.
Mr. Pratt, a follow-up here, though. What would you do moving forward that would make this better 2 years from now if we face the same situation?
Well, first off, as mayor, I will never drain the reservoirs that we need for wildfire protection. There's this conspiracy now that they're empty. that they were for drinking water. But if you research it, they were actually made for wildfire protection. As mayor, I'm going to add 20 dip sites all around the communities connecting to pools. So God forbid the water system goes down again, these dip sites that'll be connected to individuals' pools will fill up for the helicopters to have water.
Mayor Bass, do you have a response to that?
Yeah, absolutely. He's saying several things that are completely inaccurate. First of all, there was one reservoir that was out of commission. He is correct. 1 million years ago, it was for wildfires, but over the last 30, 40 years, it's been for drinking water. He talked about the winds. That is just completely inaccurate. If that were accurate, then the planes would have been able to fly. And so the winds reached close to 100 miles an hour, and the planes were unable to fly. So if there were reservoirs, if that reservoir had been open, it would not have worked. We had 2 other reservoirs totaling 8 billion gallons that were available. But could not fly.
Yes, she mentioned me. So she's an incredible liar. Everyone on their phones, Google it. 40 weather stations in the Pacific Palisades. It never went above 40 miles per hour. She is referencing the Altadena fire.
No. I have to interrupt you. No name calling,
She just
please.
lied, though.
Yeah, but no name calling.
She called me a liar.
I don't believe she did.
She said
I did not hear that.
Making this up.
I did not.
We're not going to debate the issue. We have a question now for Councilmember Raman.
Councilwoman Raman, so your District 4 is a fire-prone district. My question to you is, we've seen that you've introduced fire preparedness motions after January 2025. A lot of them happened after the fire, the Palisades fire. My question to you is, what did you do before that? Because this seems like it's more reactive rather than proactive. So any motions you introduced before January 2025?
Yeah, so my name is Nithya. I'm a council member for the 4th District, representing a huge percentage of the hillsides. For those of you who haven't met me before, I'm a mother of young twins. I'm an urban planner by training, and I've been in this role for about 5 years. And in my role as the council member for a hillside area, we have to do a lot of work preparing for really extreme weather. Before rainy seasons, actually in the past, mudslides have been the biggest issue in my district. Entire homes have gone off of their foundations, and we go in advance and make sure that traps are cleared, that areas are available for flood and clearing. We do brush clearance and make sure that all of the departments and all of the interjurisdictional areas that are supposed to be doing brush clearance are actually doing that work. Before this set of fires, we sent out an email. We made sure that we were connecting.
But is that enough, just sending an email, especially for your district, the Hollywood Hills, Encino? That's a very big fire-prone area.
Well, we didn't have a single home that was lost during these fires. I was at the Emergency Operations Center. I was making sure that I was in communication with all of our partners. I also want to make sure that we understand that the mayor's role is to be the CEO of the city. They are the executive authority in the city. As a council member, you're a legislator. You push for your district, which I did, and I will always do, and I will always keep doing. But really, it is the mayor's role to be prepared and to coordinate before and during and after emergencies to ensure that the city is ready.
Thank you.
But let me just say, or many, many months, let me just say also that that Los Angeles is understaffed in terms of LAPD for the nation's 2nd largest city. And so I have been fighting to hire more officers. Unfortunately, I have not had the cooperation from the city council, including, unfortunately, my colleague next to me, who has voted repeatedly against hiring officers, including when we were finally able to increase the class size and the council would not fund it. What is in my current budget now is 512 officers, which still is not enough. At least that will deal with attrition. We cannot shrink our department.
Councilmember Raman, you have 30 seconds to respond to that.
You know, I've supported multiple budgets, thoughtful budgets that maintained and sometimes even increased the size of the police force. I did vote against a big contract, a contract that gave the police union more money than the city had. A contract and its knock-on effects, which ultimately led to the city having a $1 billion budget deficit last year, that led to us having to cut essential services across the entire city. If you're wondering why your streetlights are out on your block and the Bureau of Street Lighting is telling you that it's taking a year to fix a streetlight, that's why.
Councilmember Raman, thank you. Mr. Pratt, There were 100 LAPD officers working with the feds today. Your response to what went down in MacArthur Park?
It's unbelievable. I hope we have the FBI, the DEA, the CDC, the ATF. The more resources we can make the streets of LA safe with federal money, amazing. I talk to thousands of moms a week. They do not feel safe in the street. No matter what these crime statistics are telling anybody, it's not how people feel on the street. There's a difference between people reporting crime and feeling unsafe on the street. And with Councilwoman Raman, people are more concerned about getting stabbed on the street than the lights being out. So I think Mayor Bass funding the police was important, actually.
Mr. Pratt, I have a follow-up question for all of you here.
He did
Langer's
mention
Deli.
me, so do I get to respond to that?
Just a moment. This is a response to some of that. Langer's Deli, which, as you all know, is a staple of downtown Los Angeles, is asking all of you on the stage right now to end the Needle Run giveaway program. So my question, Mayor, first of all to you, yes or no? It's run by the city run needle program.
Right.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Councilmember Raman.
No.
Mr. Pratt.
Absolutely no needles and pipes for drug addicts on the street, ever.
Got it. I'll take that as a yes.
Sorry. So,
Go ahead.
You have 30 seconds.
well, I did want to say in response to this question that the way you address homelessness, the way you address people living on the street is by bringing them off the streets and indoors. I think we need to absolutely invest in shelter. We need to invest in services. We need to actually get people off the streets for people to be safe. That's what I've done in my district. We've had a 54% reduction in tents and encampments in Council District 4 just over 3 years. And I'm very, very proud of those results. That's how you achieve real public safety outcomes. That's how you ensure that the people of Los Angeles are safe.
So, Mr. Pratt, the chief of police said the other day that he doesn't think we're going to have enough officers for LA 2028. Now, the federal government's responsible for security for the Olympics, but LAPD is part of that. Plus, you have to patrol the rest of the city. Hiring more officers is expensive. It's extraordinarily so in many cases. What is your strategy for getting more people, recruiting more officers and paying for them?
You know, what's more expensive than hiring them is overtime, because that's what these salaries for the fire department that everyone's complaining about, everyone's understaffed. So first off, I'm going to bring hiring back to the LAPD. Right now, the LAPD is hired by the same people that hire sanitation, and we need to bring it back like it was 20 plus years ago so that police hire police, and we need a 10-year plan. It's going to take 10 years to get to the 12,500 officers that we need, and that needs to be a priority. Our sheriff's partner, they're the same size. They have $1 billion more budget for the same size. So this idea that Councilwoman Raman keeps saying that the police department is overfunded, public safety should be our #1 priority. And we're gonna find all this money when we stop her useless open bed plans that actually doesn't put drug addicts in these housing that we're spending billions of dollars. And we're gonna actually start checking where this money is going. Not to mention, when you get rid of all the drug addicts off the street, the police won't be responding to the drug addicts all day long.
Thank you. Councilwoman, you can respond.
You know, I have not argued against paying police officers what they're worth. They do some of the hardest jobs in our city, and all of our city employees deserve a living wage. They deserve to be paid. What I am arguing against is bad fiscal management, which is what has gotten the city of Los Angeles into this moment. The police union is the most powerful force in LA city politics, and when you give contracts to people because they are going to fund your campaigns. And by the way, I'm the only person on the stage that is being spent against because I had the courage to speak out about bad budget decisions.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
That is what happens.
Appreciate that.
Not to mention, even if they do, these things, we're still gonna have drug addicts all over the street because they're treatment first, open beds, not mandatory treatment. Do you know, I talked to producers, they have to pay gang members right now to keep the streets safe, to go film anything on the streets of LA. So absolutely no, these two politicians have failed Hollywood times 1,000.
Councilmember Raman, if elected, what would you do differently here? Is enough being done?
I would say, this issue is very personal to me. My husband has been a longtime writer in the industry, and we desperately need to keep Hollywood here. And I feel like the mayor's role is really to be the loudest advocate for the best possible version of the policies that we need, including a tax credit that has no cap, that is guaranteed years into the future so that production, so that studios can actually invest here and they know that they can invest here. We need to make sure that we're reducing red tape in City Hall to make sure that productions have no bar to being able to film here. I also would create a real film office here. We don't have enough people at the city to make sure that filming can happen quickly and efficiently. We need people who know the industry and know the city and can make sure that we're working across county jurisdictions. That's what happened in Baywatch. City and county weren't talking to each other. Let's make it possible for us to actually do the work. I feel so strongly about this. And Angelinos in the industry need a fighter. I will be that fighter.
Excuse me.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
We have to move on. Really quick, 30 seconds.
In her time in there, she feels very strongly about it, but never offered one motion. And when motions came up on the industry, she either recused herself.